Okay, here we are at my house. This is our first official YouTube show. We don't really know what I'm doing, but we're going to try this out. So tomorrow, 8th grade, Miss Jackson's class is having a test. So Towson and I thought, well, we just do a little review with you all out there in YouTube land. And yeah, we'll get some subscribers doing that. Anyway, so we're looking at, so I gave Towson just a practice test to see what he knows and what he knows about these graphs. He needs to be able to tell me the y-intercept, the x, if there is a y-intercept, and what is the slope, and then write that equation that goes with that slope. So these are all linear equations because they are a straight line. So Towson, tell us what you know about this first one right here.
Well, there is no y-intercept.
You're right, because this is my y-axis. Nope, there's no y-intercept.
The x-intercept is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So we would say x equals 5.
Mm-hmm.
However, do you remember when we learned about the vertical line test?
Mm-hmm.
So does this particular, is this a function?
No.
No, because it does not pass the vertical line test. So we'd say x equals 5 for that line, but it's not a function. It's undefined. So you never know when you might get something like this to trip you up, like a little extra credit or something on your test tomorrow. That's undefined, guys. It doesn't pass our vertical line test. That's all that means. So let's look at the next one. This is the next one. Here's my point of origin. Here's the y-axis. Here's x. And here's my line. This is a horizontal line. What can you tell us about that line right there?
There's no slope.
There is no slope. So we'd say it's zero slope. But is it a function?
Yes.
Yes, because it passes the vertical line test. So how would we write that equation?
Y equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Positive 9?
Or negative 9.
Y equals negative 9 right there. Okay. We're going to look down here at this one. What can you tell me right now, Towson? Don't even count or anything, but what can you tell me just by looking at this? We've talked about this a lot.
It's a negative slope?
It's a negative slope. We always say, well, if the plane is landing, or if I, maybe I invested in T-Mobile. I'm sorry, I should have said that. But anyway, my slope is definitely negative. And so what's the y-intercept, Towson?
2.
Positive 2. And what would be my slope?
Negative 2.
That's right. So I would write that y equals negative 2x plus 2. Because right here is my y-intercept, and the number, the coefficient with the x, that's my slope. Because when we say y equals mx plus b, that m that's beside the x stands for slope because it moves. The slope moves. M for moves. Okay, let's look at one last one, Towson, before it's time to go. What could you tell me about this before just looking at this one?
Positive slope.
It's a positive slope. The plane is taking off. Maybe I invested in Lululemon. You don't know what that is, do you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, it's really good. It's a really good store. Anyway, so Lululemon is doing very well right now. But what would I say this is the how would you know where the y-intercept is?
Well, it's where the slope crosses the y-axis, and that's negative 3.
Yes, it crosses the y-axis at negative 3. So before we don't know the slope yet, but we know that the y-intercept is negative 3. So what would be the slope?
5/3.
That's right. Slope is always rise over run. I rose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I ran 3. 1, 2, 3. 5 over 3. Now, before you leave, Towson, tell me something. What if I just had some numbers, and I told you I wanted you to find my slope, and I don't know what, I just did some generic things right here. What if I told you I wanted you to find this? Hold on, I'm gonna do this. Hold on, I'm sorry. Okay, here's my X, my Y's, and I just gave you, you didn't see, first of all, wherever you see the value of X is 0, guess what that hint is?
That's going to be your rate of change.
That's the value of the Y where X is 0, that's just the Y-intercept. So
That's not your slope.
Whenever you see the X is 0, the value of that Y is the Y-intercept. That's where the Y-axis is crossed. It will be crossed at +1. And then if I didn't want to find the slope, I could graph these. I could just graph -1, -1, 0, 1, 1, 3, 2, 5. And I could do that. Or if I wanted to find my slope a different way, do you remember what the formula is to find the slope?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
That's right. So we could say 5 minus 3 over 2 minus 1. And that is 2 over 1. My slope is 2. So I could write that y equals, what's my slope?
Oh, sorry.
2x
plus 2.
What was my y-intercept?
1.
1. And there I go. And I can go and do my graph now. How do you feel about it for tomorrow's test, Towson? How do you feel?
Good.
Okay, good. Make 100. Shout out to Miss Jackson. Bye.